2015 Toyota Camry front brake tutorials, or front brakes tutorial. I got my front brakes here, got my wheel off. It's a 21mm on the lug nut. That is if you have a factory lug nut or Toyota one. 14mm for the caliper bolts. What I'm going to try to do, the caliper bolts are right here and right here. What I'm going to try to do is just get the bottom one off, and then we'll slide the top caliper bolt out instead of taking the bolt out. It kind of saves time. I'll show you what I mean. Alright, I'm going to get this off. Now this nut on the other side might spin, and if it does, you just hold that and then get the bolt off. But we'll go ahead and get this off like that. And this nut is the one I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to hold that with either pliers or, like, I think it's a 14 wrench, and hold that still while you get the bolt off, because it'll spin with it. Anyways, we'll put that to the side. Don't lose your caliper bolt. And then we're gonna, most will wiggle up. You could just kind of take this and kind of wiggle it and pull it outwards. This one's hecka rusty, so I had to kind of manhandle it. But it has these springs in here. I want to show you. When you take this caliper off, these springs are usually go flying off, and they'll disappear on you like my dad. But there's two of them, one on the top, one on the bottom. So when you take this, lift this up, watch out for those springs, make sure you get them. And then what I was talking about earlier was sliding the caliper pin out. You can just tilt this up and slide it backwards like that. It should slide out pretty easy if you're on the West Coast. Like I said, this is really rusty. Support it on the steering nickel, so the brake line's supported, so you don't let it hang or nothing like that. Go ahead and get this clip out right here. Careful not to smack your fingers. Alright, go ahead and get those out. Now we'll go ahead and take these pads out. Here's one, and here's the other one. These are aftermarket pads. I'm gonna be putting in Toyota pads with new shims. You don't have to worry about shims if you're putting in aftermarket pads, but I'll put some links in the description to the different parts. I'm also doing rotors. There's my new rotor right there. So I'm going to take this caliper bracket off. You only need to take the caliper bracket off if you're doing a rotor. It's a 17mm, top and bottom. I got my 17 here, and then we'll go ahead and just loosen this 17 bolt. These were pretty tight. These will be harder to get out than the caliper bolt, but they shouldn't be too bad. You just got to use a little extra muscle. Go ahead and get that out, and then I'll get my top one out. Okay, working on that one. Alright, go ahead and get this out, and then once you have this out, this whole bracket's going to want to fall down. So just carefully carry it and set it to the side. Don't drop it. And then here's my rotor. Now this rotor's rusted on, so I'm going to use a bolt and put it through these threads right here and right here. It'll push it off the hub. That's pretty much what those are there for. You just get yourself a bolt. I don't know the thread pitch, sorry guys, but you just put this bolt in. It's a common bolt, and then you just tighten it down, and then it'll push the rotor off the hub, and then you don't have to worry about. You could always hammer it off too, especially if you're replacing it, but don't hammer it if you plan on getting it resurfaced or nothing. Alright, and then this will just come off, and that's it. That's how you remove your rotor with that method. Go ahead and set this to the side. Here's my new rotor. Now this is an aftermarket rotor, but I wrote the Toyota rotor part number on here. So I'm going to try to link to some rotors. I'm going to put maybe aftermarket, maybe Toyota ones in the description. Whatever is the best price out there. Also, I'm going to put some brake cleaner in there. When you get new rotors, sometimes they come with this packaging grease all over them. And you definitely want to spray it off with brake cleaner and get that off of there. Especially on the part where the pad's going to be on. I don't know what, I think it's for rust maybe. I'm not sure, but we're going to go ahead and get that off. I don't want that stuff rubbing on my new pads. Okay, so we got this, and sorry if there's wind noise, guys. It's really windy where I'm at. Alright, so I'll put this rotor on. Okay, so I got it cleaned. Now here's my Toyota pads. It comes with new springs. These are actual Toyota genuine pads. I would recommend going this route if you can. I also got SHIMS, because the new pads in Toyota don't come with SHIMS, so you have to get SHIMS if you're not having Toyota pads already on your car. So here they are. And then I'll show you what the deal is with the shims. You just open these up, and then you just install the shims onto the pads like that. And then of course you put the little spring on the top. That'll help it, that'll prevent it from shifting when you go in reverse. And it also helps with being in the sensor. My caliper bracket, just clean it up. Put lube in each of the caliper pin holes. Now this is my favorite lube right here, and you want to put it on the ends of the pads, like just up on this sensor a little bit, and then on the edges. I'll put a link to do it, just like that. But my caliper bracket had a frozen pin because of rust. This pin is supposed to move back and forth pretty easy, and this was just stuck in one spot. So I got it out. I had to use pliers and just kind of some yanking. And I'm going to go clean this with a wire wheel. Your pin should be pretty smooth and clean. I had to use these to get it out. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up on a wire wheel and make them smooth. Careful, if you do this, don't mess up that black grommet on the bottom. Just, you know, clean it up enough to where it slides in and out pretty easy. You could also use a wire brush and go into the holes themselves and clear it out. Just make sure it's like a steel wire brush. And then once that was done, I put some lube in it. Just a little bit. You don't want to put a lot because then it'll create an air pocket, and then your pin won't really want to go in, and it'll cause you some problems. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this bracket back on now. All right, put that on. Now my two 17mm bolts, put those in. And I'll put the torque specs in the description. Okay, we got that tight. Now we'll put our pads in. The spring part, the little sensor part goes on top. That's to help the pad prevent it from shifting. Also, don't forget to put your little spring clips in, but before you do that, we got to get our caliper ready to go on. We're going to compress this caliper piston. I have a tool right here to do it. I will compress this. It works like this. You just squeeze this and then it'll push it down. Now sometimes when you're doing this, you'll need to put the old pad in here. That'll help apply pressure all around. It just helps, especially with calipers that are stubborn. It just helps apply pressure better. Alright, so that's in, and then now we're gonna put this back in. Make sure the brake line isn't twisted. A lot of people make that mistake. They'll twist the brake line and then slide this in. This slide just goes right back in the hole there. And then we're gonna, before we put it down, we got to put in our two springs, of course. Let's go and get those. They go in the holes right there, and that's how they look. They kind of point at each other. So just like that. And then with two hands, you know, you're gonna need to hold the pads, and with your other hand slide the caliper over like that. That bottom caliper pin might be in your way to get it all the way on, so just push that out the way. And then once you're down, you can just put this in and then tighten it down. I'll try to put torque specs and links for all parts and like brake cleaner and all that in the link or in the description, so you guys just check out for those. You got to hold that inside nut if it's spinning on you. But that's it, guys. Hope this video helped you out. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Congrats. Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to tell you about this new soap I've been using by a new company called Quantum Soap. It's a men's soap company. They make multiple different bars of soap with their own ingredients and fragrance. They even have a dark matter bar, which is more grittier. If you're a mechanic, you have a lot of dirt and oil in your skin a lot. You can reach them at quantumsoapco.com. Free shipping on orders over $50. These soaps are made in the US with all natural ingredients by hand. No synthetic this, synthetic that. They've been great. They've hooked us up with a Guillermo Auto promo code. So if you head over to the website, type in Guillermo Auto in the checkout, you'll get 10% off. Again, these guys are on Facebook, Instagram. Check them out. Check the links below. Thanks for watching.
You're pretty good. Your style is no match for mine.